Revolution Radio proudly presents, live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
Beverly, last week when we were ending the show, we had just started talking a little bit about Orgone, the Orgonite movement. I know a lot of people are into it because they feel it breaks up the chemtrails around their property and protects them from, I guess, the effects of the aluminum and barium and whatnot. And I'm not sure. I don't know if you've heard anything about that. How toxifying, but go ahead and share your thoughts on that.
Well, yes, you had asked me if I had heard of it and what I thought of it, and I actually got a couple emails after the show asking questions concerning Orgonite. I personally, it's not my thing. I said that last week. Mm-hmm. What Orgonite is, well, a Dr. Wilhelm Reich, back, I think it was in the 40s, he had done some research, and he came up with this mixture, or he came up with the principles for it. People today are making a mixture. It's fiberglass resin. It has metal shavings. It has crystal pieces. Sometimes you'll see a coiled copper wire in it, and they pour it into mold shapes. You'll see a lot formed like in obelisks or pyramids. Mm-hmm. Or some people make jewelry molds out of them and make jewelry pendants out of them. And for some people, it works great. It's supposed to help transmute negativity. It's supposed to polarize the energy, get rid of the bad, get the good. It is supposed to help with some of the negative ions, I believe, mm-hmm. caused by our electrical equipment. For me, it's just, it doesn't resonate. The resin doesn't resonate with me.
Very good.
I said this last week, I like working with natural raw elements as much as I can. I feel a stronger connection. Now, that's not going to be that way for everybody. Some people, like I say, they swear by it and they love it. And there are some actual gorgeous pieces out there that have been created for that purpose. My suggestion to anyone is, if you want to try that, look for a reputable person. You can actually find websites concerning it. Look for cost effectiveness. Don't go out and get the biggest, shiniest piece you can to begin with. Get something small. Find someone who turns it into jewelry, who makes the pendants out of it, and see how it feels. It will either resonate with you or it won't. But, I'm not, not mm-hmm. here to say, no, don't do this. Every person's individual.
Right.
Every link is individual and unique. But yes, I had received a couple emails, like, what is it? It's a resin form with the different particles in it. And you will see a lot of metal shavings in it. And that kind of bothers me too, the metal shavings, because I've actually seen a piece where it cracked, and some of that stuff is not fun. You don't want to get steel wool in your fingers,
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the one thing I wanted to finish up with the Orgonite that we really didn't get to touch last week.
But it's funny because it's almost it kind of reminds me of I think we're all personal spirituality people here on this show today, and depending on the people, like, I've had people ask me, and this is there's a parallel here, and this is why I'm agreeing with you. I've had people ask me, well, why do you take off your shoes when you're performing ceremony? Why do you only wear natural fibers when you're performing ceremony? Why won't you use a plastic table when you're performing ceremony?
Exactly.
And it's the same thing. It has to be, it has to conduct the vibration. It has to be able to conduct. I want natural. I want to work with natural. I want to
Yeah.
feel the connection to the naturalness of,
You want
whatever it is I'm working with. I'm not going to wear a satin polyester robe when I'm doing a full moon ritual.
exactly. You know, there's that connectivity that we were talking about before as well. You talk about you take your shoes off when you're doing a ritual. You're grounded.
Hmm.
You're touching the earth. This is why I love the mineral kingdom.
Exactly.
And that's another thing speaking of grounding, and I believe there was a question at the end of our talk last week concerning negativity being held by memory, ancestral memory in the crystals and in the minerals that are in the earth.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, we're speaking about South Carolina, and
Yeah.
perhaps that some of the memory that's held in the quartz underneath them is perhaps maybe why there's such a lingering anger and racial tension going on there.
Well, if you're into the metaphysical slash paranormal at all, you know that energy is held in places where there has been a strong energy of any kind, love, hate, fear, hopelessness, positivity. It holds there. And if you think about it, we're talking about the quartz in the ground. Quartz, I believe, well, there's more silica around the earth than pretty much anything else. Silica it's in quartz, it's sand, it's in different composites, like the different granites and such. So if you're talking about memory being held in a place, and we were talking about how people are gritting to try to heal the earth's energy, it's entirely possible. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, because there was a fight right there on that 20 acres of land 200 years ago. There's something attached there. There's something hanging on there. It's a hit and miss situation, but I'm sure you have walked into a place or across even a yard or a field or just maybe even up a mountain, and you feel the energy change from one place to another.
Oh, absolutely.
There is a huge movement now to try to right, and I put right in quotes. I don't mean like it's the only right way, but to right the energies, to get them more balanced again. I have several friends who are part of the movement where they take different crystals and bury them at vortexes, ley lines. They get their dowsing equipment out and they find the ley line, and they grid out a certain pattern of the earth where they're working to try to improve the energy, to try to heal the earth. What I have found is there's a lot of people using amethyst for this, which is great. Amethyst it's a do-it-all stone. It's healing, it's soothing, it's energetically, what's a good word to use?
Energizing?
It plays well with others.
Okay.
There we go. It plays well with others. There's a newsletter I saw not too long ago where they are especially trying now, since there's a lot of quartz crystal in Tibet, and we all know the situation in Tibet.
Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I saw a news blurb yesterday about something over there, but I didn't get a chance to go back and read it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's some nastiness going on there right now.
There is Tibetan quartz crystal is one of my favorites to work with. It's right up there with, I talked about the Lemurians last week. It is a powerful, old crystal energy. And the best thing about it is the crystals that come from Tibet, and you'll see this from other places as well. It's not just these crystals, but it's more common. A lot of them are what we call anhydro crystals. And an hydrocrystal is a crystal that formed, and while it was forming, there was a water or air pocket bubble that formed inside and trapped things like water, carbon, sometimes what we call lodolite, which is mud and some other things in there. That is a super powerful energy. It contains so much. I mean, you think about it. You've got a crystal that has trapped millions of years ago. It trapped a water bubble in there.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people ask me, okay, that water, how old is it? Well, it's millions of years old.
Yeah.
And I laugh and I say it's either the purest water that ever was on the face of the earth, or it's got some deadly disease in it that's going to wipe us all out. I know that sounds horrible, but it actually does. See, you just laughed. It lightens up the conversation.
Yeah.
People realize what's there.
It's got like a Jurassic Park thing going to it.
Exactly. Exactly. I love anhydros. I can get lost in an anhydro crystal for hours. Just I put my jeweler's loop on, I hold it up to the light, and I watch for the bubbles. And that crystal there is so powerful, and it's an emotional crystal. You can feel the ancientness of it. That's that's the one I handed you as well.
Yes, and I did. That was very powerful.
And if you turn it around, you might find an anhydro bubble. You'll have to get a little flashlight and get a magnifying glass out and turn it till you see a shimmer, and you'll be able to see the bubble move in the pocket.
Oh, wow.
But, talking about the earth retaining memory in places, you've got all that going on in Tibet right now. There's so much quartz crystal over there. It's almost like for me, I can hear the earth crying.
Mm-hmm.
Not because we're taking quartz crystals out, but because of all the stuff that's going on. The quartz is there, I believe, to help and to heal and to energize and to try to right things and balance things. We talked, I think, about earth holding memory in places like Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about, even when I mentioned the Libyan desert glass last week, that's in Egypt that they used to carve. So of course there's memory there. Of course there's energy there. The one thing, and I had somebody email me after the show saying, what would I recommend as far as helping grid? You don't have to go out and do some great big field somewhere. Start with your own backyard.
Mm-hmm.
When you go and you buy a house, or you rent a house, or you're living somewhere with you've got land around you, if you can, walk the yard. Walk your little, even if you're in an apartment, say a ground floor apartment, and you walking up on your path, walk it and take a little more time to actually feel the energy that comes from the earth. If there's a spot maybe that feels a little off, sure, go ahead and start gridding. It's hard to get into a lot of gridding on the radio because that's a visual thing,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I will say, I'm going to go ahead and put a little plug here. I've got a class coming up this coming Saturday from 5 to 7 at a little bit hippie in Roanoke. And it is one of the topics we're going to discuss, gridding and crystal energy with the earth. And also anyone can contact me either through Facebook or through you, or you can pass them my way, and I can send them a sheet on basic gridding. It doesn't have to be elaborate.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to have the most expensive crystals and the most powerful whatever. It can be done simply and easily with base stones and crystals that everyone knows. Quartz, amethyst, rose quartz. Those are the 3 best ones to start out with, because with quartz crystal, you've got pure energy. And if it's cleansed well and neutral, it will be a reinforcing agent. You've got amethyst, which is a do-all, heal-all stone. Great for healing of any sort. And then you've got rose quartz. Rose quartz, everybody's like, oh, it's rose quartz, it's for love. Well, it's more than just love. It's self-love. It's appreciation. It's not the passionate, I'm going to find a mate love all the time.
Right. It's like I think when I think of rose quartz, I think of the heart chakra, like compassion, love of others, love of self.
Exactly, and it's a calming love. It's a familial love. Mother, son, daughter, father, cousin. It's that as well. So we're on one earth. We are one people. If we could get together with one purpose of making it a little nicer, a little better with the energies, it would grow. It takes a little longer to grow, I think, after there's been a huge bout of negativity, whether it's in an area or it just happens to be there. You know, we had that whole talk last week with concerning Stonehenge, the chicken or the egg theory. Was that negative energy or that disconcerting energy already there, and therefore it made it worse and drew, you know, like attracts like, good, bad, bad, good? Or because the people were there, did they infuse it? I think it's a little bit of both. Just like I said last week, it's a little bit of both.
Now, let me ask you a question, because literally this was asked of me last week, or actually it was something that I suggested. Um, Let me give you a scenario and perhaps how maybe you would handle it with gridding or using crystals. Um, a friend of mine is concerned about the park next door to his apartment complex. There's a park there, and recently there's been a lot of gang activity, a lot of drug use, some robberies and muggings and violence. And he was thinking about perhaps use, or actually, I was suggesting, what about doing a crystal grid layout there? Could we rebalance the energy of that particular park area, perhaps using it?
I think it could be done, yes. Of course, now let me preempt this by saying it's a public place.
Right.
Don't be going in there and doing something that will get you in trouble, like they might not want you digging up a little hole and putting a crystal in it. What I would say first, how close does he live to the park? Is it like right next door?
Literally next door.
If I were him first, I would start to grid from where I lived outwards without interfering in anybody else's space.
Okay.
Your point of hope, your point of light. Get your own energies worked up well. See if that kind of passes on to the neighbors and the other people. When it comes to the actual park, I've known people. Now I'm not recommending this as far as, like I said, it's public place.
Right.
But I have known people who have gotten permission to go in public areas and do inconspicuous gridding. The little 2-inch hole, drop a crystal in, energize. And for a park like that, I would definitely stick with amethyst. There are other stones you can use, but I'm trying to keep it basic, cost effective, and what everybody actually knows about. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of stone and mineral and crystal configurations.
Right.
Keep it simple. But yeah, if I were him, I would start where he lives, try to generate positivity outwards without also expending his own energy, because you're no good if you're drained.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remind me to get back to a draining issue. I had a thought about that. But and then, check with, you can do it inconspicuously, go, like I said, drop some amethyst here and there, create a ring, if nothing else, a ring of light, a ring of energy. Keep with the amethyst. I would double check though. I'd check with Parks and Rec Services. Is it okay if I put some rocks out here?
Right.
Because you don't want to get in trouble with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very touchy thing. I was talking about the draining there, not draining yourself. This is a word I want to put out to new time crystal users, because this happened to me many years ago. It's called crystal overload. Didn't you tell me that you had a huge box of crystals that somebody had given you at one time?
Yes. Yeah.
And that they were kind of overpowering to begin with? It was like overwhelming? Okay, there is such a thing called crystal overload. I'll give you an example. And this is what happened to me. So, the crone had to learn the hard way. I'm one that I wear gemstone and crystal jewelry. I carry them in my pockets. I will put on numerous things for what I need when I'm going out in public. And I also like to carry some of my favorite stones with me. I actually walked into a gem show, and this was 15 years ago. And it was at one of those peak moments of my collecting days. So I had pretty much everything on me. I had a medicine bag that had tons of little tumbled stones in it. I mean, amethyst, quartz, carnelian, petersite, numet, just a bunch of stuff. I had various pieces of crystal jewelry, and here I walked into a gem show. I literally got so out of whack energetically. it was literally a crystal high that my friend had to walk out with me and say, "You need to go sit down and ground for a minute." I was bouncing. Well, when I started taking off some of my jewelry and taking some of the stones out of my pocket that I'd been carrying with me, it was an immediate kaboom. Like I said, I had to learn the hard way.
Right, right.
I recently, well, it was a couple years ago, had another person come to me with a similar thing. She was all the time wired, all the time wired, all the time wired. And then at night she would just crash and she couldn't get her energy leveled out. And she finally admitted that she was wearing like 7 different, you've seen the crystal gemstone chip bracelets that are like elastic bands.
Yes, yeah.
She was wearing like 5 or 6 different ones of those, matching necklaces, plus extra necklaces, plus inner pockets, inner car, everywhere. And it was just all the energies converging at once, all those crystals and all those beautiful rocks saying, look at me, here, feel my energy, feel my energy. It can happen. So when you start working with crystals, don't try to carry everything all at once.
Right.
It's not a good idea. It's there is such a thing as crystal overload.
Yes.
You have to, and honestly, I think anyone that ends up does working with it needs to honestly experience that at least one time so they know how to help others with it.
Okay.
But do be wary. And if if you're working to find that out and see what your limits are, take it a step at a time. Don't just dump all your rocks in your lap at once and go whee, because it's not going to work.
Right.
But like I said, mind your own energy when you're working with the crystals, because that way you're more in harmony and in tandem with one another. And the job that you're looking to accomplish, whether it's your own energy working with someone else's and helping them, helping your environment, you're no good if you've already misaligned your own.
Right, exactly. And is it fair to say that when we're working with these different energies, I guess for me, when I look at working with any energy, whether it be crystal or vocal or whatever, it's about frequency and understanding the frequency of the source of where it's coming from.
Yeah, frequency and vibration. That's where it's all at, and that's where all the interconnectivity is.
So I guess that would be good advice for people to kind of get to know the frequency, the vibration of each particular stone. And like you said, even 2 different stones of the same type might even have a little bit of a different frequency, even though they're both maybe rose quartz or something.
Exactly. I've actually, when I go and I'm searching for new crystals or gems to work with or add to my collection, I will hold my hand over, you usually see like a bin of rocks. Like there's a bin of rose quartz in front of you. The way I do it is I just hold my hand over it. If that doesn't quite do it, I kind of like run my hand through it, and the piece that's meant to be for me will fall in the palm of my hand. That's what I have grown for myself over the years. Other people will use their pendulum to help them find the right stone. Some, all they have to do is they walk by, they look, and they pick it up, and that's it. It will talk to each person, and I do say talk. It will communicate with each person the way it wants to, on its terms, that you will recognize individually.
And sometimes they're just handed to you by the Crystal Crone. Because
I
have fallen in love with that Tibetan crystal you have given me. I mean, we're like best friends now.
Well, that's good.
I really love it. I feel it. I'm working with it, and it's making a big, big difference. I'm really enjoying that. It looks like we're coming up on a commercial break, and we'll be right back with...
And now, back to your host, Bernard Alvarez.
Welcome back to the Just Bernard Show here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We are speaking again with the Crystal Crone as we are finishing up our 2-week series on crystals. And during the break, actually, we were talking a little bit about angelite, and I saw that Triva was talking about it in the chat room as well, and there's a little discussion going on there about it. Uh,
Yeah.
I had the chat room on the on the studio as well. I had a beautiful piece of angelite. I don't know where it went. It was created by a friend of ours. Actually, I've got to show you this picture of this monster crystal. She has one of the largest crystals in the world in her crystal shop in Hawaii. It's humongous. I got
Oh.
to show you the picture. Anyway, her name is Kathy Bilski. She happens to be a radio host here on Revolution Radio as well, and she had sent me this beautiful piece of angelite, and it was kind of cool. She made it into, I don't want to say it was organite, but it was a big old piece of angelite, which is blue hydrite, I believe that's how you say it,
Anhydrite, yes.
and hydrite, and she made like this purple, I don't know, like a resiny thing, like handle out of it, so I could use it for massage, like a nodule, like a massage nodule.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, that is awesome. I was like, the angel light with a massage nodule attached to the end of it. I was like, this is
Oh,
fantastic.
that would be heaven. I have a palm stone of it that I carry sometime if I know I'm going to have to be particularly centered. It's a very centering stone.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but it's such it feels cool. It feels relaxing just touching it, just holding it. And that's the energy, at least for me, that I get from it.
Right,
So
right.
if you use that as like a massage tool, oh, that would be just heaven.
Yeah, right.
Well, now that I mentioned, I do have a wand. You've seen the massage wands,
Yeah.
pointed on one tip, rounded on the other. I do have one of those made out of angelite. It comes out when pain levels get high. We'll put it that way.
Oh, okay,
For a
okay.
headache, it's really good for a stress headache.
Oh, very good, very.
Place it on your forehead.
Oh, well, I have to go look for that one next time I get a migraine. I never think about that.
Yeah, that's something and I do not in any way, give out medical advice.
Right, right.
For me, it's the energetic soothing, and like I said, it's a cool and soothing stone anyway.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
that's the energy I read from it. No, with any medical thing, always see your doctor first. I'm going to just come right out there and say
Yeah,
that
there
anyway.
you go.
Um,
Our disclaimer for the show.
Disclaimer there, any medical, see your physician first,
Right.
see a registered healer. There are crystal healers out there. There are
License.
Ayurvedic medicine.
Ayurvedic license,
Ayurvedic,
yeah.
yes, that's where you need to go. That you brought up a good point though, with how some crystals, how they're different and how they work with everything. A lot of people come to me and they ask, what's my base set? How do I get started with the basics? What do you recommend
Yeah.
for a base set?
How do you get started?
Well, we started to touch on this, so I'm glad we can get back to it. You get started by find a good teacher, find a good book. If the book doesn't help, find the teacher. If you're not in an area where you can find the teacher, there are many resources online. You can find me. I'll be glad to answer as many questions as I can online. I offer crystal tutoring and consultations, energy consultations, spirit guide consultations. You can just find me through the Facebook page or through my website, which I think you put both of those up, if I'm correct.
Yep, yep.
But for those who are listening, I'm going to run over, if it's okay with you,
Yes.
a few basic stones that you might want to put in that beginning crystal energy kit. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Well, when you first start to work with crystal energy, there are some very basic, low-cost crystal stones and gems you can work with. What I tell everyone, whether you are attached to it or not, everybody has a birthstone.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different types of birthstone. There's the ones that we use that, you go to the jewelry store and you buy, an emerald for May, or a sapphire for, you buy that. But there's also Celtic birthstones. Whatever path you follow, your birthstone, you should always have your birthstone in some form. That will be your first power crystal. That will be your first power stone. It resonates with the month you were born. It resonates with the day you were born. It's like I tell everybody, and I had a class not too long ago on power stones. When I was younger, I hated my birthstone. And the only reason I hated it is because it was green. And I didn't like the color green. Just little kid thing, And my birthstone is emerald, by the way.
I was just saying, what are you, May?
I'm May.
Uh-huh.
I'm a Taurus baby through and through. Just
There you
ask
go.
anybody and they'll tell you that. But I didn't really like it. My favorite color was blue. Everything had to be blue. My favorite color is still blue. Everything has to be blue. But one day, and it was about the time I started getting interested in rocks and minerals, my birthstone just grabbed me. And then when I started reading about it and researching about it, it fit me to a T. And that is one of my power stones. It won't be that way for everybody after they've worked through some stuff, but it's always your first one. Start there. And it's usually one of the easiest to get. Even if your birthstone, is diamond, at some point in time, you're going to have one, you're going to get one. And diamonds today can be found relatively inexpensively. You can buy a raw diamond. They're tiny, but it would still be one to add to your collection. You can find them on eBay. I don't really suggest that all the time. There are some good reputable sellers there. Go to a website that's safe and secure.
Yeah.
When you're talking higher end. But when you're starting and you're putting your first crystal energy kit together, there are a few stones that I think everybody should have. Everybody grab a pen and paper because here we go.
All right.
First one is an agate. Just some form of agate. There are tons of different agates out there. There's Botswana agate. There's Jasper's agate. There's a carnelian that's a form of agate because of the banding in it. But a basic plain agate. Agate, it stabilizes your auric field. It does help get rid of negativity. And it helps stimulate your analytical mind. Agate is a very simple stone, and it can do all that.
It kind of looks like a brain cut in half.
Yeah, they do.
To stimulate your brain,
There you go. Maybe see, there's something to some of this. If you look at, look at fractals. We could go all into fractals. Right. We won't do that.
That's another show.
That's another show. The next one I would say would be amethyst. I've already said amethyst is a do-it-all stone. It's a stone of spirituality. It's wonderful for grid work. It helps with meditation. It's a calming stone. It is known for having an inner strength to it. Even the Greeks called amethyst the sobriety stone. It was supposed to, in quotes, keep one from getting intoxicated if they drank wine or whatever from an amethyst goblet. I dare say that didn't work, but it was supposed to. But amethyst, like I said, it's a do-it-all stone. That would be the second one I would tell somebody. There's another stone. It's called ametrine. It's actually a mixture of amethyst and citrine.
Oh.
Now, there's something here. I'm going to drop this in here about amethyst and citrine. Many of these crystals, even though they're natural, they have been heat treated once they get to the crystal shops. Certain amethysts come out a very, very dark, beautiful purple, really deep, that it looks like wine sort of color. Right. Grape wine.
Grape Kool-Aid.
Grape Kool-Aid. A lot of them are heat treated to bring out the color. It's getting to the point where it's hard to tell sometimes. Ametrine is one of those that has been heat treated. Ametrine is citrine and amethyst. It's a mix. It is a stone of the intellect, and it helps you open to higher planes. So you want to add that one in. Another stone that would be really good to have, and I recommend this for military people, military families, aquamarine. It is a stone that promotes courage and strength, but not the gung-ho. This is a stone for the family that's left behind to carry on, It's that type of courage. It's that type of strength, inner strength, camaraderie. So aquamarine is one that you would want in there. Adventurine. Adventurine is a green quartzite, silica-based stone. True adventurine will have a little bit of gold fleck in it. The gold fleck is mica, or rather, correction, pyrite. And it's also, since it's a green stone, if you have an adventurine, you put it in you can't really put it in your wallet, but say put it in your pocket, put it in your purse. It's supposed to actually, it has a frequency of the money vibration.
Mm.
It vibrates, if you get into numerology, it vibrates with the number 8. It's that money. If nothing else, it helps you keep from overspending.
Oh, okay.
I carry a piece of green aventurine sometimes if I'm going, especially to a crystal show.
Right.
That's my biggest weakness, as you can probably guess. Okay, calcite. Calcite is an energy amplifier. It is just, it's electric. It really is electric. The only thing that is more energetically alive to me are some of the actual quartz crystals. Calcite is a high silica base, and it comes in about every color under the rainbow. A lot of people use calcite when they are making chakra kits to match up to the different chakra points.
Oh, okay.
Because there's blue calcite, which is calming and soothing. There's orange calcite, that's, that base feeling.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's red calcite, there's yellow calcite, there's green calcite.
Wow.
It's an energy amplifier. It's great for chakra kits. Absolutely wonderful. Carnelian. I love the stone carnelian. It is a silica base. It's in the quartz family. It is a deep rusty orange color.
Mm-hmm.
There is also what they called carnelian sard. Sard was mentioned in the Bible. It's a form of carnelian. It's a deeper, darker red. It's that really, really, that deep, dark red that looks like candy that you want to bite into?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't go biting on a rock now. But that's the little bit of difference there. It's a fine line difference. But carnelian, it helps, again, with the mind and the intellect, but it also protects against fear. It helps calm rage. It balances the analytical and the emotional.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Citrine. I've already said ametrine was a mix of amethyst and citrine. Citrine it's a wonderful stone to have. It's a beautiful yellow color. It's called the merchant's stone. It is said that if you take a piece of citrine and you place it, say you have a business, a brick and mortar store, you got your cash register setting there. I have known several people that take a piece of citrine and they either place it in their cash register or they place it beside it to encourage business. It draws in that abundance energy. But the really one of the best things about citrine is it is one of a very small handful of stones that never needs energetic cleansing, cleaning, or clearing.
Really? Why's that?
It automatically disperses negativity, transmutes it, puts it back into a positive force. It takes that negative energy and it puts it back out as positive. It's like a positivity pump.
Like a transmuter.
Like a transmuter. Thank you. It takes care of itself. It never needs energetic cleansing. I actually have a large citrine. It's an opened geode piece. It's about 2 feet long. That's what I lay my crystals on after I've been out with whatever ones I've carried in my pocket for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on that citrine and charge them, cleanse them, clear them for the next time around. It's a great and easy way to do it. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, this is a stone that's not real known about because you find it in conglomerates, and it's dolomite. Dolomite is used. You can find dolomite like where gravel is found. It's used in making concrete and such. It's an extremely grounding stone. It is the base. It is the earth. So dolomite is one I suggest that everyone get a small piece of. Fluorite. Fluorite, it looks neon. Have you seen fluorite?
Is that the stone, the other stone you gave me? It looks like a mica or something.
No. That was pyrite. The gold.
Pyrite. Okay.
Pyrite's the one I gave you.
Oh well.
Fluorite, lots of times is striped. It's like a green, blue, purple. Looks like striped candy. It's clear. It's iridescent. It is a beautiful stone, and like I said, you will find it in green, purple, some blue. Usually a mixture of the three. It kind of fades back and forth in a rainbow sort of fashion with those colors. it is a perfect stone for balancing your own individual relationship to yourself. So when you're starting working with the crystal energy, first you want to make sure that you're good with yourself before you start doing anything else. Fluorite is a perfect stone to help you with that.
We have someone mentioning something in the chat room, and I'm taking it they're local. I think he said he's from Franklin County. He's bringing up the fairy stones in Fairy Stone Park, the starlight.
Yeah, starlight. There's fairy stones. There's fairy crosses.
Yep.
Those.
I just learned about that like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, that is so cool, because I was looking for a state park to go enjoy the 4th of July or something, and
yeah,
they were like, oh, and while you're out, go start collecting the fairy stones. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Fairy stones. Well, I just lost something here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Oh, there you are. For a minute there, I lost. We had something go down the road, I think. Fairy stones, I love those. I've been to Fairy Stone State Park a couple times, not in recent years. It was when I was younger. And you can find them laying around. A lot of people, you can find them locally in the gift shops.
Uh-huh.
They have a very spiritual aspect to them. They are shaped like little crosses.
Yeah, they are.
They are very uplifting. But it's a peaceful sort of uplifting. It's like literally you're sitting in the cathedral of nature when you have one.
It's like that feeling.
Exactly. You're sitting in the cathedral of nature. It's for a tiny little stone, it's extremely powerful.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I would recommend anyone going there, if they can get down to Fairy Stone State Park. Let's see, what else? Where was I? We were on the list, right?
Yep.
Hematite. That's my next
one of my favorites.
Hematite is one of the best grounding stones around. I will say this much. There is magnetic hematite out there now. They call them zingers.
Uh-huh.
You've seen those where you toss them up and
stuff.
they snap together.
Yeah.
Magnetic hematite is fun to play with. It's fun to buy. Keep it away from all electronics. Keep it away from your computer. Keep it away from cell phones because it's magnetic.
Yep.
I was at a gym show a few years ago and somebody had bought a set of hematite, what they called zingers, the magnetic hematite buttons. And they bought them. They put them in their pocket and their cell phone messed up because their cell phone was hanging on their hip. So try to stay away from the magnetic stuff when you're first starting out. Just get plain hematite. It's your basic base grounding stone. It balances the yin-yang energies so that they work in harmony. And it actually does help dissolve negativity as well.
I back in the 90s, I used to suffer from a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, and the hematite really helped me quite a bit. I mean, really, what a difference it made.
For years, you've seen the hematite rings.
Oh, I love those rings too. Yeah,
Yeah.
And the funny thing is they would break after a little while, and somebody said, "Well, that's because you don't need it anymore."
Exactly. Yeah. Let me interject that there for a second.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people that are like, "Well, I was carrying," and usually it's tumbled stones that people go for. I was carrying this tumbled piece of I don't know whatever in my pocket, and while it was in my pocket, it cracked in half.
Yep.
I'm like, "Well, why were you carrying it?" And they're like, "Oh, because." It could be anything from I needed a boost of energy or I felt a little anxiety, whatever stone it is, right, that matches to why they were carrying it. I'm like, well, it's broken. It's done its work for you now, And I tell people if it breaks, either put it aside. If you don't want to get rid of it, you don't just toss it.
Right.
You put it aside in a special place or you take it outside. Like at my home here, we have literally a rock garden.
Mm-hmm.
If something is broken, if it's chipped, when I get in batches of quartz crystal, there's a lot of crystal broken pieces and dust. It goes out into the rock garden.
Oh, there you go.
And that way it is regrounding itself. It's healing itself. I mean, it's not going to go back together, of course, but it's adjusting to its new energy pattern. It's completed its work for me. I'm giving it back and letting it rest. I'm putting it into retirement.
There you go. That's a great way to look at it.
And it makes for a beautiful, peaceful place as well within your own yard or on your deck. It goes back to the thing about when we were talking about grounding or grounding your crystals to bury them in dirt, even if it's just a flower pot. Use a large planter. If you don't have a yard, if you don't have quote unquote ground of your own, use a planter. Make it your own little mini rock garden.
Oh, what a great idea.
Let's see. There's a couple other stones I want to touch on here that people should when they're
actually, let me give you. You have about 1 minute. Believe it or not.
We did it again.
Again.
Okay, 1 minute. How's this? If you have any questions, holler at you or me, and either you'll get them in touch with me. I can't believe we covered it that quick again. Put together your basic energy kit. Don't overload yourself. And listen to all the teachers, because just because one person's teachings may not resonate, part of it might, part of somebody else's might. Develop your own and make sure you mind your energy and keep it ethical to yourself. Don't go outside your own boundaries. How's that for some final words of wisdom from Crystal Crone?
And I think there are some great words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Beverly.
Bernard, I've enjoyed this immensely. We're going to have to get together soon.
Yes, we are. We are. And Triva just posted the basic energy kit: birthstone, agate, ametrine, aquamarine, aventurine, calcite, carnelian, citrine,
carnelian,
dolomite, and fluorite.
And there's more. There's more. We didn't get to them.
Well, if you want to learn more, of course, if you are in the Roanoke region of Virginia, you are more than welcome to come to the class at A Little Bit Hippie this Saturday. The Crystal Crone is going to be teaching a class there live. I want to thank you so much again, Beverly, and I look forward. Maybe I'll have to stop by and say hello this weekend, see how you guys are doing over there.
That would be great, and thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Next week.